And we are apparently live. That's always good. Joe's got the smile on his face, ready to rock and roll. He's like,
live. That's like the activation words. Like we're going live, and I'm like,
yeah. All right, let's rock and roll.
I like it.
Awesome. And then you will see me switching between you guys like this and this and this.
Hey.
So hopefully not kind of throw you off too much. I did it once randomly without telling Shannon, and she was like, "What?"
It totally threw me. I was like, "What is happening?"
I had just figured it out during the live stream. I was like, "What's this button do?" Oh, okay. So, all right, let's rock and roll. All right, in 3, 2, 1. never goes right. All right, and then the heater turns off. Perfect. In 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, welcome to season 2, episode 24. Yes, 24 of the Digital Marketing Dive podcast. I'm Seth with Goldstein Media. I'm going to do that again. That was bad. Goldstein Media.
You got this. Second take.
Right. Take whatever. 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, and welcome to season 2, episode 24 of the Digital Marketing Dive podcast. I'm Seth with Goldstein Media, and with me, as always, is the amazing, talented Shannon of Diane Business Consulting. I forgot to mention she's also very kick-ass. So,
I have to have the kick-ass there. I have to.
You know who else is really kick-ass? Joe Casabona. There you go. And Joe is the man about town. He's known in the WordPress world. He's known in the podcasting world. He's an author. He's a former college level professor. He's a daddy. He's a Renaissance man. So he's a rock star. His head's growing as we speak.
I know. Well, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me onto the show. Thanks for all the kind words.
You're welcome. So he is the host of 2 amazing podcasts. 2, right? Or is there more?
Like 2, third coming back. I do one with Liam.
I forgot about the Chester County one. Yeah.
And then there's maybe a 4th one in the crock pot.
Ooh. Maybe. So he is how I built it. Yes. It was before Guy Raz's.
Yes.
You should go after him.
They stole my idea. So that's probably why I haven't gotten a cease and desist yet. They're like, well, he's been around longer.
Exactly. So how I built it. And the WP review is WP as in WordPress. He also does the Chester County one, which is, what's that called?
That's called Start Local, startlocal.co. We focus on Chester County businesses, and we're rebooting because we started this like right when the shutdown started for the pandemic, and we wanted to help businesses get information and kind of pivot. And now that everything's opening up, we want to change focus. So
that's very cool. And he's also an author of 4 books. Only one of which I didn't know about the other one, the WP review, the year in review book. I knew about that one. There's also the responsive design with WordPress, which is, I think, an older book. Yep. What are the other 2?
My first book ever was building WordPress themes from scratch. That was from Rockable Press, back when Envato actually published books. And then my second one was responsive design with WordPress.
Yes.
I wrote an ebook called Web Design for Google Glass because I got Google Glass and was super cool.
Those are the spectacle.
Yeah,
the glasses that had a little camera.
It's the one that like it looked like it was like a Geordie LaForge. Is that the right? I'm making a Star Trek reference. Yeah, and I never really watched it, but so I wrote that ebook, and then my most recent print book. Well, there's WP Year in Review 2020, but my most recent published book is HTML and CSS, a visual quick start guide.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's a big name one because as the visual quick start is the whole brand.
Yeah, this is like the 9th edition, and I rewrote it from scratch with videos. And
He's
stuff.
not an achiever at all.
Yeah. I mean, props to Elizabeth Castro. She's the original author of it, but she's no longer doing it, and they wanted a video component this time, so they recruited me.
Very cool. And I've known Joe for quite a few years. We met, I think, I don't know when we first. I think it was a WordCamp Philly back when WordCamp Philly first started. I think.
Yeah, maybe. I went to whatever one Brad Williams wore a tutu at. Right.
I don't remember that one, but yeah, it was definitely.
And Lisa Sabin Wilson was dressed as the Cat in the Hat. It was a Halloween. He wasn't.
Yeah, let's preface that it's Halloween.
Yeah.
This is not just. Actually, this does happen at other WordCamps randomly as well.
Yeah.
But, we're a fun bunch.
Yeah.
But Joe, what is your origin story? I love that question because I love it. Like, who is Joe Casabona?
That's a really good question. And I'm going to go back maybe further than some of your previous guests, but in second grade.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is like 91, 92, I guess. I went to a Catholic school and I thought it would be funny to put my sweater over my head and have people call me Sister Josephine. And my teacher, Miss McCullough, now Sister Mary, she became a nun later. But my teacher, instead of thinking this was just horsing around and tomfoolery, she recognized the entertainer in me and encouraged me to join drama club.
Ooh.
And so from second grade all up until my senior year of high school, I was in school plays and I loved entertaining. And so that's the video course, maybe teacher aspect, right? Getting in front of people, talking, the podcast aspect, of course. That's my outlet for entertaining now. And along the way, I also got into computers, messing around with my dad's IBM ThinkPad. And then we got a family computer with a CD burner, and I started selling mixed CDs in high school for $5 a pop.
Yeah, don't tell
totally legal. Music I got myself from the internet. So I made these mixed CDs at $5 a pop, and I'm like, this is great. And then my church asked me to build them a website. And I told them I don't know how to build websites, and they said we'll pay you. And I said I can build you a website. You'll pay me? Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, done and done. And I loved it. It let me flex like the logical part of my brain and the artistic, creative side of my brain. And I've been doing that ever since. I got into WordPress in 2004.
Wow, you were early.
Yeah. Yes, I was like, I'm going to build a content management system. And my friend Steve Mikosh, who actually tech edited responsive design with WordPress, said, have you heard of WordPress? And I said, no, but this is perfect. But this was like before pages were even a thing. So I would have the blog and like kind of hack core a little bit to do like dynamic stuff in pages.
Don't tell Matt that.
I know. That was okay back then, I think, in 2004. It was like the Wild West. And so since then I got my master's degree in software engineering, and that's like beyond my origin story. So drama club for the entertainer part, and divine intervention by my church saying, you're good with computers, can you make us a website, we'll pay you. And I was like,
I like it.
So that's how you find yourself into WordPress. And then I guess podcasting came around, what was it, like 2004 2007.
Yeah, so people like there's a fella who claims the first podcast.
Oh yeah, Adam Curry.
Yeah, it was like 2002, like right after iPods came out, right? That's the pod part of podcast. But yeah, like I think really it started around 2007, maybe 2006. Stuff You Should Know, one of the longest standing podcasts, started in 2008.
Yeah, Leo Laporte's of
Leo Laporte. Yeah, I got to interview Lisa on my show last year. Yeah, she's great. She's swell. Yeah. But probably. And then I got into podcasting a few years later. Probably like 2012. I think is when I started my first one. Yeah.
So when I started. What's that?
How many podcasts have you had total since you've started?
Let's see. Probably 7 or 8 that I like actually spoke on. The first one was called TIL Podcast, and my friends and I were like, we should just bring barroom conversations to podcasting. And that's just an awful format because I'm a really bad moderator because I get sidetracked. who I think we probably did already here.
This is fun. This is great.
Yeah, and we like never researched anything. We're just like, what are we going to talk about today? Bitcoin? All right, let's figure it out. So that was a terrible format. And then I launched, I relaunched that as just me interviewing friends about things I was interested in learning, and that did moderately better. And then on my honeymoon, I bought How I Built .it because we were in Italy. And I was seeing all these .it domains, and I thought that this would be a great domain. So I bought the domain, and I was like, "What am I going to do with this?"
Yeah.
And I thought about doing a podcast. So that's my main show. I launched one called Late to the Party, where I would like watch older TV shows and talk about it. And the first one was The West Wing, but that fell victim to pod fade because I didn't want to take notes during a show that I'd never seen before. And like, if you've seen The West Wing, like by the end of the first season, those last couple of episodes, very intense. And I wanted to pay attention and not be like, I wonder who is going to get shot or whatever. Like that's I don't.
No spoiler there.
No spoiler.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so that fell to the dreaded pod fade. But now it's How I Built It, WP Review, Start Local. I produce 2 podcasts for clients. That's kind of my relatively new done for you service, and then I'm thinking about launching one called HTML and CSS Bytes to kind of promote the visual quick start guide.
Oh, that's fun. That's great. So you've kind of mashed WordPress with podcasting into a nice little cupcake.
Yes, yeah. Maddie Osman of the Blogsmith mentioned, she said when I think of you. I think of 2 things, WordPress and podcasting. And so, yeah, I'm kind of straddling that line a little bit.
Yeah, so you have a very active How I Built a community online. You have courses, you have an online forum. I mean, I guess it's kind of a continuation of your teaching career, pretty much. Once a teacher, always a teacher kind of thing. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what are these courses that I'm talking about?
Yeah, man, what a great setup. So I realized in grad school, I told myself I wouldn't go to grad school if I had to take the GRE, and if I couldn't get it paid for. And I spoke to the head of the computer science department at the University of Scranton. They basically said, look, you're already in the CS program. Like, we know that you have the background. You don't have to take the GRE if you go here. And then I applied for a teacher assistantship, which paid for grad school and gave me a stipend. And that allowed me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was like $1,000 a month or whatever, which like
they're paying for grad school though.
Yeah, exactly. And like that with my side hustle, like it didn't like, I was like the only college kid, not the only one, but I felt like I was the only one of my friends who like always had money because I was running my business on the side.
Yeah.
And like my school projects were always client projects, like just like great kids. If you're in college and you have a side hustle, make it related to your major and just double dip. Like best thing to do.
Way to like meld it together.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
absolutely.
That's brilliant. That's awesome.
And so, gosh, oh yeah. So teaching assistantship. So I got to teach in the classroom. It was a lab, so I would lecture for like 10 minutes or so, and then they would do their own thing. But I absolutely loved it. And when I was graduating, I said, hey, I'm probably going to stick around in Scranton. If you have any openings, I'm going to be self-employed. I'm going to see if I can make that work. And I'd love to teach like adjunct if you've got an opening. And they were like, actually, one of our adjuncts is retiring. And so they gave me the position straight away, and it was great. Then
now you're teaching other stuff, right?
Yeah.
What are you teaching now?
So I was teaching computer literacy, which is basically an intro to computer course that all freshmen had to take. And this
I don't think it to be taught anymore because the Z generation don't know anything before computers.
So this is the interesting thing about that, right? Is that our textbook was basically a website written in 1998. And I was supposed to teach things like binary, like how to convert from binary to decimal. And I'm like, you're never going to use this. the only time I use it is when I teach you it. Like, I don't have to do that. So I completely revamped the way I taught the course, and I started teaching more like internet etiquette stuff.
That's much more needed.
You know,
But much more applicable.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a great. I never followed students on Twitter, but one like begged me to. I'll never forget this. She was like, "Please follow me on Twitter." I'm like, "Fine." And then like a week later, she tweeted that she wasn't coming to class because the Starbucks line was long. # sorry, not sorry. So the next time she was in class, I was like, let's talk about things that you should and shouldn't post on the internet. And I brought up that tweet. And she turned beet red. I'm like,
that's awesome.
I'm like, you asked me to follow you. So yeah, I taught more internet etiquette stuff, how to what you should and should not be sharing. And this is when like I'm not going to say like the untoward name of the thing, but when the iCloud link and all leak and all the celebrity photos leaked out, that happened while I was teaching.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And so yeah, I had a field day with that. I'm like, look, this is happening right now. Nothing you send on the internet is safe. You think Snapchat is safe? It's not. So exactly. So that was a blast. And then I also taught like computer science 101 and web development, PHP stuff. It was great. But my wife and I, after we got married, we moved in together in the Lehigh Valley where she got a job. She's a nurse. And so because I knew I was going to move away from Scranton, I wanted to set up a way for me to keep teaching.
Yeah.
And I launched creator courses. Back then it was called WPin1month.com, which is a terrible name because it locked me into WordPress, and the in 1 month
is not always
it didn't make any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If anyone does WordPress. But so it's now you have a podcasting one. What other courses do you teach?
Yeah, so on creator courses, Podcast Liftoff is probably my signature course, I would say.
Yeah, it's a really good one. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. I also have a couple of WordPress specific courses. One is an intro to the block editor, which is getting an update for 5.8. So that kind of teaches not quite WP 101. I actually licensed I licensed Sean's courses. And so this just teaches them the block editor, and it'll teach them full site editing as well.
Oh, let's check that one out.
Yeah, so these are like kind of no code solutions if you want to start a podcast and launch a WordPress website along with it. I have a course called Up and Running with Beaver Builder, which is my page builder of choice. And then I have a talking head course called Creating Online Courses that I'm
very
thinking about.
meta.
Yes. And so that's like 6 videos, just advice. And I think I'm going to add a Learn Dash component to that in the near future. So the whole idea is I'm helping creators not only with the content creation side, but with the tech side as well. Because, you get a lot of people like, I've taken a bunch of Pat Flynn's courses, for example, but he's always the one that comes to mind. I feel like we swim in the same sort of spaces. But he'll teach you everything he's learned to launch a successful millions of downloads podcast, but he won't show you how to set up the website, probably because his team has done that, right?
Yeah, he doesn't know how to do it.
Right. Yeah. So I know how to do that, and so that's kind of my competitive advantage there.
Very good. So here's a question for the small business owners out there. I know Shannon wants to get to the small business owner and stuff like that. Always. And what would you suggest for small business owners? Because WordPress is 40% of the web. Podcasts are now the new radio and stuff like that. What would you suggest small business owners how they get involved with podcasting? How would you suggest to do it besides obviously taking Podcast Liftoff? Yeah,
well, so I would. First of all, I would absolutely recommend you get into podcasting. Where we're at with podcasting now feels very similar to where we were with blogging circa 2004 to 2006.
Sure.
If you've been around the internet long enough, you'll know that blogging, the Huffington Post, for example, and the Daily or Hot Air, right? Daily Beast, Hot Air, just to give kind of both sides equal time. They both emerged around and affected the 2004 election in some way.
Oh wow.
Podcasting kind of was very similar over the last couple of years, right? The Ben Shapiro show is like, since Joe Rogan left, like the most popular show on Apple Podcasts, I think, right now, or at least one, like in the top 5.
And there's a lot out there. I mean, then there's the whole the Young Turks on the other side of the spectrum.
Right, and the Pod Save America, right?
Yeah, there's a lot out there. But how can the small business owner really get into the podcasting?
So point being, now is a great time for you to grow your audience as a small business owner through podcasting, because it shows you, your audience that you know what you're talking about, establishes your expertise. I think the best way to do it, right? A lot of people will say Anchor is free. Apologies if you host this on Anchor, but I think this one's on Castos.
This is on Castos.
Yeah,
originally it was on Anchor.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they helped me get it off of their own service. So I was like, I want to have more control.
Yeah, perfect. Right. Yeah. So what I tell people is podcasting is a little bit of an investment. If it's going to be a hobby, have it on Anchor. Fine. Late to the party was on Anchor because I was testing Anchor and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'm not going to like shell out $200 for the year. But if it's for your business, consider it marketing and advertising budget. Invest in a decent microphone, like the ATR 2100X is a $100 microphone that plugs right into your computer. You don't need an interface or any other equipment.
I have a Yeti.
Yeah, Blue Yeti's another one, really good. That was my first podcasting mic. And then pay for audio hosting, right? I recommend Castos. My show is on Castos and it integrates with WordPress really nicely.
It does. They have a plugin that works.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So like better than any other I've used.
Yeah.
If you want an all-in-one solution, I think simplecast.com is a good one.
I also put Dan Benjamin's fireside.fm is an all-in-one that I've looked at, and I'm like, well, I don't want an all-in-one. I kind of like to get in the weeds a little bit.
Yeah.
Shannon's like, you can get in the weeds, Seth. Leave me out of it.
Yeah.
and throwing something new at me, and I'm like, oh no.
That's the curse of the tech nerd, right? Is we're always tinkering.
Exactly.
I have over here, you'll see like my daughter's art over here, but you could see I have a Raspberry Pi set up with that is connecting my non-HomeKit devices to HomeKit. So
you're a quintessential dork.
Yeah, I'm all about the home automations. You know, I want to. I mean, you heard me say when we first got on here. Hey, lady in the phone, I'm recording. That sets my devices to do not disturb, but it also turns a recording light in the kitchen red so that my family knows I'm recording.
I need to do that. I need to do that.
Yeah,
I need to do this in my house. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to talk to you about that. That's awesome.
I got a blog post. I'll send it to you.
Send it my way. Absolutely. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So it really depends on the way I preach to most people, the way that I position podcast liftoff, my done for you service, not the course part, is look, you're busy. Do what works best for you, right? If you don't have time to build out a whole website, then don't, use something like Simplecast or Fireside. I haven't looked at Fireside, but Dan Benjamin knows what he's doing.
He's a very big podcast.
Yeah, right. Like the 5x5 network is his, right?
It's his. Yeah.
So, but I recommend a WordPress site with Simplecast, with Series to Simple Podcasting. That's Castos's plugin. That gives you your own website and really rock solid hosting for $19 a month. You get a month free if you prepay, or a couple months free if you prepay for the year.
We'll have a link in the show notes.
Yeah. And then just press record. A lot of people ask, like, how do you get started? How do you get comfortable? Get your reps in. Mm-hmm. I've spent my whole life talking, right? Like, since second grade in drama club. And it took me a little bit to get comfortable in front of the microphone and make eye contact with the camera, because I'm staring at a piece of glass like it's a person. And you only get better with practice. So start record a couple that are going to be throwaway episodes, right? They're just
I still put them on the feed. Like, you listen to the first Digital Marketing Dive podcast that I did with my former co-host Sean. Oh my God, everything that you could possibly do wrong, we did wrong. Echoey room.
Yep.
I could go on forever. Listen to it. It's up on the feed somewhere. I'm a big believer of putting everything out there.
Yeah, I mean, learning in the open is a huge thing, right? My live streams will go sideways sometimes, and I'll just kind of talk through what I'm doing. And people say that I've been told those are some of the most valuable live streams, because if you take an online course and everything just goes perfectly, like it's super easy, everyone's gonna think, I can't do this. I didn't do it in one shot. I ran into an issue. Yeah, but if you show, hey, I ran into a couple of issues here, right? Even my courses on LinkedIn Learning, we don't do it too much because we don't want to distract, but sometimes I'll mess up, I'll forget a semicolon, and we'll keep that in. And because, oh wait, what's this error mean? Oh, I figured it out. Here's what happened, right? And
that's great.
Yeah,
so here's a question: what do you think of Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces?
They aren't podcast killers, right? Which is like, yes. Clubhouse. This is not my own independent thought. I heard this on Upgrade, which is one of my favorite podcasts with Jason Snell and Mike Hurley. Clubhouse is a feature. Like, it's not even its own thing.
Yeah.
And case in point, Twitter Spaces, right?
Yeah, it's a feature. It's something you add on to a service.
Yeah. So, I mean, Clubhouse's end game, right, is they want to get bought by somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, not Apple, but a very Apple-y company, maybe.
Yeah.
Or Twitter. Maybe Twitter will buy them. But
make it Twitter Spaces, yeah.
Or Facebook, right?
Who knows?
But it's interesting. It's interesting. Because I don't like Clubhouse, first of all. It's like, it's got that VC tech bro stink. Twitter Spaces is a little bit better because, I get, maybe because I'm there more, and people, that's an established one. And Twitter Spaces kind of reminds me of Twitter itself around 2007 to 2009, where people are getting, like people are getting together talking about things. There are people I still follow, like just random Yankee fans, because we would all live tweet the game. And there were so few people on Twitter at that point that we were like, I guess we'll just follow each other and talk about the Yankees. And like, we had like a Michael K drinking game, because he like has all of his Michael K sayings. And yeah, so my favorite is the fallacy of the predetermined outcome. Whenever he says that, you take a drink.
There you go.
So Twitter Spaces reminds me a little bit of that. And maybe, my friend Harry Morton from Lower Street, they're a podcast production agency. When Clubhouse first got really big, he was seeing a lot of requests for how can I take my Clubhouses and turn them into a podcast?
Yeah.
I don't really think that's sustainable. And
every time someone does that, and like Amy Landino, who is actually in Columbus, I have to introduce Shannon to her at some point. She's notorious for taking her Clubhouse room, putting on the feed, saying, "Hey, I did this on Clubhouse. You might be interested." I try listening to that podcast, and I'm like, I can't do it. Whereas if she does a podcast, I can listen to it.
Yeah, it's like my first podcast, right? Oh, we want to recreate the bar conversation in podcast form, but it's really the benefit of Clubhouse and the benefit of Twitter Spaces is that it's happening live and that people can chime in, right?
Yeah, it's not convert very well,
right? And some people
Matt
do.
Says he agrees with you on that.
Oh yeah, right. It's sweet. So Matt and we agree on a lot of things. I mean, he's a Red Sox fan, whatever. But
he's in Boston. He was a previous guest on the show too. So
yeah, Matt's a good
focus
dude.
on the important things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My being in the tech space, my obsession with baseball in particular usually gets me in trouble. People are like, I don't like baseball, and I'm like, I like it. It's really good. But anyway, so that's what I think. I think the live aspect of of these audio only rooms is what makes them, right? We were getting takeout. We would go to our favorite bar to get takeout during the pandemic because we wanted to keep supporting them. But now that we can actually go to bars again, we're not going to get takeout. We're going to go to the bar, talk to our favorite bartender, have our friends meet us, and hang out.
It's different. Exactly. So, all right, let's thank our sponsor for the show. We had Alex Hillman at the top of the show and his book, The Tiny MBA. Let's thank Savvy Cal. I'll say it correctly this time. Savvy Cal. Not Savvy Cal, not Moo, but Savvy Cal. It's hard with the Philadelphia accent. It's a scheduling tool for that your recipients will love. I've tried all these different kinds, Calendly, HubSpot, all these, and they give you a list of times and you have to figure out what works. Savvy Cal superimposes your I'm using hand motions and it's in the audio podcast, so it's very good, but it superimposes your calendar over your recipient's calendar, and you can click on the spaces that make sense. So that's really cool. And so it's just fantastic. Go over to our show notes and you can click on the link and give them a try today. You get a free month if you sign up. So that's a good thing to try it out as well. So, and that's our show for today. And I wanted to thank Joe for coming on. It's been fantastic, Joe. Lots of fun. And Shannon, as always, it's a pleasure seeing you. I haven't seen you in a few weeks, so I'm going to miss you terribly. Sniffle.
In the last few weeks. Yes, I've missed you too. Joe, it's been awesome to meet you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Likewise, it was an absolute pleasure. The time flew by.
I know. Really I looked at the clock and I'm like, whoa, it's 30 minutes already. I'm like, how that? Yeah. And we talked for like 10 minutes prior to that. And I'm like, whoa, that's wild. But it's fun. Just check out Joe at J Casabona, JCasabona. It's kind of phonetic, I guess. Casabona. It is.
Yeah.
And it's casabona.org is your main.
Yeah, go to as long as this episode doesn't hit the feed like in 10 minutes, go to casabona.org/DMD and there'll be a special offer for my podcast Liftoff course there.
Ooh, yeah, this is coming out in 2 weeks from our recordings.
Perfect.
So Jake, was it?
Casabona.org/DMD.
Awesome. We'll put that in there. Perfect. I love it. Thank you, Joe. We have one more show after this, the great Pam Angst. I think that's how you say her last name. Pam, I'm sorry if you heard that. I mispronounced and brutalized it. But she's an SEO and WordPress specialist, and she's gonna round out the season. Yes, you heard that correctly. Joe and Pam are rounding out the season. Let's say the best for last, and then we'll probably be back in October or November after we let Shannon breathe a little. And let me breathe a little and have to take our summer. But this will be coming out probably end of July, and then we'll have one in August, and then I'll take a break for a little while, drink some margaritas or some strawberry daiquiris or something like that. So
I'm happy to say that I can use this word. I'm the penultimate guest for season 2.
There you go. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. So check us out on the podcaster or podcasting device of your choice. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, and you can always reach out to us at hello@Digital Marketing Dive. We are on. You can find us at dmd.fm. That I'll put at the bottom of the screen for those who are watching the show. We can get us at hello@Digital Marketing Dive. You can do dmd.fm, or you can find us at Digital Marketing Dive. It's marketing smushed because Twitter it smushed it on the Bird site, and we will see you next time.
Perfect. Have a great night, everyone.